Anger on the streets of India almost a week after a medical student was gang raped on a bus in New Delhi. Thousands protest demanding justice. So are women safe in India? This is Inside Story. Welcome to Inside Story. I'm Hazem Seeker. It is a story that has triggered mass protests on the streets of India. Calls for change and justice for a young woman. The gang rape of a medical student on a moving bus last week in New Delhi. Her injuries were so bad she was only just recently able to give a statement to authorities. The 23-year-old told police 6 men took turns sexually assaulting her. Angry Indians are hitting the streets, defying a ban on mass demonstrations. The police have been using tear gas and water cannon against the protesters. Let's get more from Sabina Shrestha, who's in the Indian capital.
In a sense, it was unlawful for them to gather because Section 144, a clause, a criminal code which prohibits people from gathering, from protesting, was imposed this morning. But police did relax it in the afternoon. So people were gathering, people were doing peaceful protests. But in the afternoon, things took a violent turn and the tear gas was used. This particular case has been a tipping point for most of the Indians because security situation for women in India is dismally poor. Every 20 minutes a woman in India gets raped, and out of all the violent crimes last year, 90% targeted women. So people are very, very angry, and they have been coming to the streets genuinely. The protests have made the government bow down to them in a sense. The state Cabinet is sitting today. The Home Minister is going to be met by the Chief Minister later today. So some things are moving forward, but the protesters are saying that nothing is going to be good enough until security for women in this country is better. And the protesters also are demanding that the perpetrators of this crime be hanged.
So just how widespread a problem is sexual abuse against women in India? There are reports that suggest a woman is raped every 20 minutes there. More than 24,000 rape cases were reported last year alone. Already this year, there have been 635 registered rape cases in the capital. The legal news service Trust Law says India is the worst country in the G20 to be a woman. It says women and girls continue to be sold, married off at a young age, exploited and abused as domestic slaves. The number of crimes recorded against women include kidnapping, abduction and human trafficking, and that exceeds 2.5 million. Well, many activists in India are protesting against what they say is a culture of impunity. There are 40,000 pending rape cases in the country. Victims have to wait years for their cases to be even heard. And even then, the conviction rate is just 34.6%. That's according to the National Crimes Record Bureau. The Indian Penal Code lists punishments of up to life behind bars, but those convicted are often let off after serving a short sentence. So are women safe in India? Well, joining us now to discuss this are our 3 guests in New Delhi. Kavita Krishnan, she's secretary of the All India Progressive Women's Association. Also in New Delhi, we have Rajeev Aswathi. He's a Delhi High Court lawyer and has previously represented rape victims. And joining us from Paris, Lawrence Saez. He's a professor of political economy at the School of Oriental and African Studies and is the author of the book New Dimensions of Politics in India, the United Progressive Alliance in Power. Good to have you all with us. Kavita Krishnan, if I could start with you. Let's talk about this particular case first, which has sparked all of these protests. Are you optimistic that a result of all of this anger in the country, that justice will be done here?
See, in this particular case, I think that it's very likely that the perpetrators, most of them have been arrested, and it's likely they will be punished. But I think that what we are witnessing is over a lot more, and I think justice, in a sense, what has happened to that woman, that young woman, is something which probably reparation for that is impossible to an extent. She's, a section of her intestines have had to be removed, surgically removed. So, the entire way she lives the rest of her life, if she survives, is going to be affected by that night of violence. So I think that it's a huge issue, and it's people are thinking far beyond just this one single issue. They are thinking about a lot larger.
Lawrence Saez, what impact do you think this particular case will have on the overall issue of rape in India?
Well, quite sadly, the incidences of rape, gang rape, are historically very high in India, and so I was not surprised by this specific story. I think the specific case has alerted people to the problem, primarily because the victim was a student, middle-class student, and the rape or the alleged rapists are people who escaped who have migrated to the city. And so there's an element of social class struggle in this element which alerts people to it. But rape is sadly quite common in the villages, sometimes in fact carried out or by the police and by people who are wealthy against people who are very poor. And they escape with impunity. And so this specific case hopefully will bring attention to the large number of cases of violence against women, including rape, but also bride burning and other types of violence.
Rajeev Aswathi, talk us through then some of the legal issues in play here with this particular case, but also with the issue of rape and abuse of women in general in India.
First of all, I must tell you, you can't define every rape as serious as the present case is. In India, there are circumstances where, the person, the rape case is registered when a minor girl, ages 16 years, having a love affair with somebody of a major age of 18, 19 years boy, and subsequently they get married, but due to family pressure, the case is registered against the boy for kidnapping, and then subsequently added rape also, and the girls make the statement under the pressure of the parents. So what I'm trying to tell you is that in India there are various factors where every rape case can't be that gruesome as the present one is, and requires different kind of sentence and punishments. And our penal code on 375, section 375 of IPC, takes care of each such situations where the women is being atrocide or being raped, and the allegations are made against them. In the present case,
right,
since the gang rape and the gruesome case, the punishment is very serious, and the person can be convicted to life imprisonment also in the present case.
Kavita Krishnan, you're shaking your head there.
Yeah. No, what I'm saying is that I think the major issue is what you said right at the beginning, which is that there is impunity, and I disagree that the laws are great and perfect as they are. I'm not saying that, and I'm not saying that the cry for, the death penalty for rape is a solution. But I'm saying that the rape laws are crying out for change because, according to your present laws, insertion of an object in a woman's body is not considered rape. Marital rape is not considered rape. There are no specific provisions relating to custodial rape, which is very common, as you said, as one of your guests also pointed out. Custodial rape is not by army or police is not considered. There is no specific provision for it under the rape law as it stands today. So there are huge problems with the ways in which rape and sexual harassment. I don't mean just rape. Sexual harassment also, it's described as something as silly as outraging the modesty. This is some kind of Victorian colonial phrase, and it doesn't even begin to cover the kind of the sense of violence and the sense of insecurity that women feel. So, and also, I think you're wrong about the conviction rate being 34. I mean, I think you should check that, because as far as I recall, in 2010 it was 26%, which was about half down. It was around 46% in 1971. So between 1971 and now, the number of rape cases has gone up by a huge number, 191% or something like that. but the conviction rate has halved from 46 to 26.
All right.
So the point is that, you know, you're getting away with complete impunity most of the time. Yeah.
Well, let's stay with some more numbers now
you
and take a look at
wanted
some recent figures from the United Nations on rapes around the world and how India compares here. South Africa has one of the highest rates. In 2010, 277,000 cases were reported. And the same survey, a survey found 1 in 4 men admitted to raping someone. In the United States, more than 84,000 rape cases were reported. Criminals there face life behind bars, and in some cases, castration is an option. In 2010, India rounded out the top 3 with a little more than 22,000 reported cases. Then the UK with nearly 16,000. A suspect found guilty there faces a maximum conviction of life in prison. In Europe, Germany counts the highest number of rape cases known by the police, just under 8,000. And in Russia, where the crime holds a punishment of 4 to 10 years in jail, almost 5,000 cases were reported in 2010. So 22,000, the number there for India, Kavita Krishnan. But you were making the point here earlier that you have to keep in mind that many of these rape cases are underreported, that there are many that simply do not go reported to the police at all.
Yeah, yeah, that's right, yeah. And I also think that, you know, I don't agree that in this particular case, a big factor is the class factor. I don't think so. I think, yes, there are some specific newspapers in the English media, I know one leading English daily, which is making it its job to
So you're saying this is just as likely to happen to an Indian woman living in the city as it is to a woman who lives in rural areas?
It is just as likely, yes, but there are obviously the misogyny is compounded by the fact of being a Dalit, from a oppressed caste, or from being a Muslim in a communal violence situation. These things are there. But what I'm saying is that people are not out on the streets because they hate slum dwellers or something like that. They are out on the streets because they are angry about the fact that rapists from any class are getting away with rape. And that the police, the response of the police is abysmal. That's one big factor in the anger, by the way, which no one has mentioned yet, which is that a magazine did a sting operation recently on the senior police officers in the Delhi and National Capital Region. And they they recorded on the camera so many senior police officers saying that 98% of the rape cases that come in, rape complaints, are false because the woman complainant smokes or drinks or was out with a man or was dressed in a particular way or whatever. So I'm saying this is the attitude of the police. The police doesn't want to register an FIR. What kind of investigation can a police force do when it believes that the complainant herself is to blame? So I think these are the major factors for anger.
I'm glad you brought up this issue of the police, because we're going to give you an example of that right now. Undercover reporters in India gathered evidence of how the police in the Delhi region view rape victims. The investigation, published by the Indian weekly Tehelka, exposed how the system often blames the victim. Reporters caught senior police officers on hidden cameras talking about victims, saying, and this is an example, some of the examples that we brought here. She asked for it. It's all about money. They have made it a business. It's consensual most of the time. 17 officers of over a dozen police stations were caught on spy cameras, blaming everything from revealing clothes to having boyfriends or going to pubs as the main reasons for rape. Now, the investigators came to the conclusion that the officers encountered do not fulfill the basic standards of policing, which requires investigating a case without any cultural, class or gender bias. Let's have a look then at these videos caught with hidden cameras by Tehelka investigative reporters.
That if a girl living in Delhi and she wanted that, she will not go through this trauma, she will be not encourage the persons. No rape in Delhi without the provoking from the girl.
उनको एक तरह से बच्चे के साथ मोदी बच्चे हैं, ये लड़की जो है 22 साल की है, वो लड़के 18 से 19 साल के बीच के हैं. How old is she? 27. 27. She was 27 years old. Oh. And the rights were only 20. लड़कियां एक
सीमित दायरे में या सीमित कपड़ों में रहनी चाहिए, जब वो नहीं रहती हैं तो अपने आप खिंचाव हो जाता है। वो खिंचाव भी एग्रेसिव कर देता है कि नहीं कर दो ऐसा। ये इतने कपड़े जो पहने हुए वो इसीलिए पहने हुए है ताकि लोग मुझ पर आकर्षित हो, मेरे साथ कुछ ना कुछ करें।
Pretty sobering stuff there. Some of the comments from police officers to a hidden camera there of just what their opinions are on some of these rape cases, and it gives you an idea, Lawrence Saez, of the kind of thing that women are up against in India when they try to report rape.
Well, I think I'm not sure specifically solely for women. I think that tourists, for instance, have also a great deal of problems with dealing with the police. Foreigners who may look to be impoverished, or young students and so on. And so there's a whole set of problems that the police engage in terms of, it's a very corrupt, I mean, it's a big secret, or I guess the government tries to hide the fact that the one of the most corrupt institutions in India is the police, but that the courts are corrupt as well. And so we have a situation where the police is supposed to investigate crimes, in many instances either ignores them or engages in them, and which aggravates the problem. And so many women, I'm certain, would be quite hesitant to actually go to the police late at night to report a crime against her, even if it's a robbery or anything like that, because of fear that she would be assaulted by the police, given the types of social understanding that these individuals have about women. And so this specific incident is sad. Hopefully some police reform will come about in terms of indoctrinating or trying to teach and train the police to deal in a much more sensitive way on dealing with rapes and other types of crimes against women. The incident also calls attention to the lack of speed that the court system has in India. This is a more general problem for India, not specifically only for criminal cases against women. And so this calls also for legal reform. And I think the third element here is that there needs to be a rewriting of laws so that the law itself provides a much more clear definition as to what does not constitute a rape, different gradations of punishments for them, which the law some provide at this moment, but not fully, and not at least not with Western standards of this type of elements.
Rajeev Aswathi, where do you think the responsibility lies for all of this? Is it politicians? Is it the police? Or is it society as a whole in India?
I must tell you one thing very clearly. I'm sorry to say the earlier speakers, they have not read the provisions of law properly. The section 376 takes care of punishing each and everybody, including the employee and the orphanage director or other responsible institution wherever there is sexual abuse. As far as preventing such incidents are concerned, I'll tell you, our basic problem policing is they are punitive in nature, they are not preventive in nature. And unless we emphasize on prevention of stopping such incident at the initial level, I think lots and lots could be achieved. And similar is, I think, political will is also lacking in this, because we keep on crying about the judicial process is very low. But the question is, it is the government's duty to provide the proper infrastructure. In India, there is large number of vacancies, judicial officer vacancies, which are pending, not filled up. And see the Indian population. The ratio is between 1,000 is equal to 1 person is available to render the judicial benefit to the downtrodden. So first thing is that the system needs to be improved, political will is required, proper policing is required, system needs to be drastically changed, because we hardly see police on the street or patrolling in the night, where they know that these are sensitive areas. So unless the police becomes preventive in nature, punitive is hardly of any consequence, because once the incident takes place, thereafter you can keep on punishing people. But the question is, why not such incident could be prevented once we have around more than 65,000 police force in Delhi, and out of which around 20,000 is being utilized only for VIP, VVIP securities. This
All
is
right,
the basic question I'm raising.
Let's put some of that to
sorry,
Kavita
yeah,
Krishnan,
please.
because I'm getting the impression she's going to disagree with some of what you've just said
yeah,
there. Is this an issue of
no, I'm not
resources
saying,
and not putting them in the right place?
See, I'm not saying it's, no, I'm not. I think all those issues are there, but I think that the primary problem or the primary demand is not for more policing. Even in this movement, the whole of today, okay, I spoke to so many young women who are out there on the streets for the first time. And their question was that even if there were more CCTV cameras, more surveillance, more police on the streets, they said, can we trust those policemen when they think like this? How can we trust them to protect us?
All right,
so I think the demand is for accountability from the police.
Sorry to interrupt,
I'm
Kavita,
saying,
but if this is an issue of changing people's attitudes to rape and abuse of women...
I'm saying it
it's
can't
not
just
about
be
that.
put... It can't... No, it's not just about cultural training and whatnot that the police talks about. We are talking about a demand that the police be accountable. Why can't a set of norms, a set of procedures be put in place, which if the policeman violates, if he's caught saying such a thing, there should be action against him. If he does not register an FIR, he should lose his job. If he doesn't take a rape case seriously, if the investigation is not done according to procedure, there is no procedure in place. There is an unwritten procedure that FIR should not be filed. But I'm saying that the actual procedure, for instance, forensic investigation in the case of rape, this is something neither hospitals nor police are equipped for at all. They are not told that this is something they have to do. And there is no punitive measure in case they fail to do it. What I mean is that social attitudes can take eons, centuries to change. We can't wait for that. But you do need a police force that is accountable to a set of procedures and a set of norms, which is something which is completely lacking. And I also think that the big issue out here is that people, it's not just the police. It's not just policemen from a certain social milieu. These kind of remarks about women's dress and morality and so on have been said by politicians, elected representatives from a variety of parties. Sexism and misogyny has, it reigns supreme.
Yeah, I want to ask you a little bit more about that. Where does that, if the goal is to change people's attitudes on that, then where does it start? Does it start in schools, in the home, or with the community as a whole?
All of that, but I also think all of that. We've been asking for gender sensitization to be part of the school curriculum and to be part of sensitization modules for the police and all. But I think that the biggest sensitization is happening in the course of this movement. That's why I want to bring back the focus to how remarkable it is what we are witnessing in Delhi now. It is remarkable. I could never have hoped for such a wonderful upsurge of people, because I think that there is nothing more democratizing, more sensitizing than the participation of people out there on the streets, and the fact that I found today that when women are speaking their mind during that movement, for instance, women were resonating very hard with a particular slogan which I'll share with you, where instead of just saying we want protection, they said we want you, the police and the institutions and government, to protect our right to unqualified freedom. Without fear.
Well, these protests...
And that was something people were listening to. Yeah.
These protests have been going on for several days now, and certainly gotten a lot of national and international attention, which is one of the reasons that we're doing this topic on our show. But how much of a difference will all of this make, Lawrence Saez, in the long run? And just, I know, to perhaps play a devil's advocate here for a moment, is there a danger that once all of this dies down, not much will have changed?
Yes, I tend to be very pessimistic. I mean, I'm quite pleased that there's a great deal of public protest about this specific incident. A few years ago, we had a similar type of protest regarding more general corruption issues. And what I see in India, that there's a great deal of frustration. I think that India is a growing economy, is modernizing quite fast, but then people's attitudes have not changed as fast. And so there's a disconnect between where India is going as a country and where the majority of the people in the country are staying in terms of the way that they view the norms for women and other underprivileged groups. So I don't think that much will come out about this. Obviously, probably just as a showpiece, the people who are involved in this specific crime will be punished to the full extent of the law. But then there are many incidents which I find much more outrageous when the police commit theft and rape, And they escape for the most part, and it's not reported. That's a big problem.
All right, and that's going to have to be the last word. I want to thank all three of our guests, Kavita Krishnan, Rajeev Aswathi, and Lawrence Saez. Thank you all for joining us, and thank you for watching this edition of Inside Story with us. Remember, if you want to send us your feedback, just email your thoughts to us at insidestory@aljazeera.net. I'm Hazem Seeker. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.